Good day, friends. I'm Kerry Dillinger. This is Bible Class Topics. And today, what Job teaches us about Satan. First John 3 and verse 8 reads, "Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. Since those who sin are of the devil, then we must give no opportunity to the devil," Ephesians 4:27. "And we must submit ourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you," James 4, verse 7. Satan is determined to get people to serve him. 1 Peter 5:8, "Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour." He's a schemer. Ephesians 6:11, "Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil." We must not be ignorant of his designs. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 9, 10, and 11. Paul writes, "For this is why I wrote, that I might test you and know whether you are obedient in everything. Anyone whom you forgive, I also forgive. Indeed, what I have forgiven, if I have forgiven anything, has been for your sake, in the presence of Christ, so that we would not be outwitted by Satan. For we are not ignorant of his designs." If we're going to properly resist Satan, we must be knowledgeable of him and the threat he poses to us. We must go to God's Word to find out what he is and what he does. In God's Word, we can turn to the book of Job, and it will help enlighten us about Satan and his work. Who and what is Satan? He's the supreme evil spirit. As we read in 1 Peter 5:8, he is our adversary. The word Satan translates into English as adversary. In Revelations 12, verses 7 through 9, "Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." Then in chapter 20, verse 2, "And he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. The devil, Satan, is the ancient serpent of Revelation 12 and Revelation 20. He is the dragon. The King James Version in Isaiah 14:12 says he is Lucifer. It is better translated, he is the day star. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. Satan is the god of this world. 2 Corinthians 4:4. In their case, the god of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. Satan is the ruler or prince of this world. Jesus said this in John 12:31, "Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out." Satan is the prince of darkness. Ephesians 6 and verse 12, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." Satan is named as the accuser in Revelation 12, verse 10. "I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God." Even the word devil that we often use for Satan is translated out as the slanderer. The devil, Satan, is a liar, and he's the father of all lies. John 8:44. Jesus said, "You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires." He, that is the devil, was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of all lies. As we read in 1 Peter 5:8, the second part of that verse, your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Well, let's turn over to the book of Job in the Old Testament, and let's go to chapter 1, and let's read verses 6 through 12, and we will see Satan and his work as can be seen in this passage. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" And Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth and from walking up and down on it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him and his house and all that he has on every side? You've blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will curse you to your face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Here we learn in verse 6 and also in chapter 2, verse 1, that Satan is accountable before God. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. However unwilling he may be, like all created beings, Satan is subject to divine authority, and he is compelled to render an account before God. We see from verse 8 that God knows the mind of Satan. And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil?" God is not provoking Satan here. Instead, he already knew exactly what was on Satan's mind. God already knew that Job was on the mind of Satan because there was no one on earth like Job. We learn from verse 7 of chapter 1 and also chapter 2, verse 2, that Satan is the one behind the evils on the earth. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where have you come?" And Satan answered to the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth and from walking up and down on it." His is an unceasing activity. And once again, we turn to 1 Peter 5, verse 8, and we consider exactly what the Apostle Peter had to say there. "Be sober-minded, be watchful." Why? Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, and he's looking for someone to devour. We do learn this, though. Satan doesn't know everything. He's not omniscient. He cannot see into the mind of man. He could not see into the mind of Job, as we read in verses 9 through 11. Also, let's read chapter 2, verses 9 through 10. Then Job's wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast your integrity? Curse God and die." But he said to her, "You speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil?" In all this Job did not sin with his lips. He thought he knew what was in Job's mind, that is, Satan did. But he was mistaken, and he was defeated. Yes, God the Father can see into a man's mind. He is divine. Satan is not. I clicked a little ahead on my screen here, I see, and we need to talk about the fact that Satan can do nothing without divine approval. Listen to Jesus as he speaks to Peter in Luke 22, verses 31 and 32. "Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. We see in the Bible sometimes it is permission that is granted to Satan to sift someone, like he did with Job and like he did with Peter. And sometimes he is refused by God. Even when there is approval, there is a limitation. Satan was twice limited regarding Job. And blessedly for you and me, he is limited regarding you and me. Listen to 1 Corinthians 10:13. Paul said, "No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide the way of escape that you may be able to endure it." Satan has no power against anyone beyond that which God allows, much like Pilate's power over Christ was only what God allowed. Remember what Jesus said to Pilate in John 19:11? Jesus answered Pilate, "You would have no authority over me at all unless it has been given to you from above. Therefore, he who delivered me over to you has the greater sin." God still cares despite what Satan may do or how we may end up suffering because of Satan's actions. We must constantly be on guard against our adversary Satan, the roaring lion, but also realize we can, with the help of God, overcome him. Thank you for joining me today in this short lesson. The outline is courtesy of Gene Taylor at expositorysermonoutlines.com. I'll put a link to that website in the description below. And our graphic today, a drawing showing Job and his three friends, comes from Wikimedia Commons, and it is unattributed. I hope this study has been helpful and fruitful to you in your own personal Bible study. Let's get our Bibles out every day and give them a reading. And if you can, please come back and be with us again next time, when we will try to present another Bible class topic. Until then, may God bless.